welcome to another episode here at LightingBot. As usual, I am your host Amit, and I'm here to shed some light about lighting and cinematography and directing with other peers in the industry. Today we have Jeffy joining us, and Jeffy happened to have made a short movie with a couple of other team members of his for Tilt Labs. So he was a director and also the cinematographer for it. So we get to talk about different topics today, which is still relevant for people wanting to learn lighting, but also relevant for any artist really who wants to learn more about composition or color theory or just anything. For the record, on the chat on YouTube. Eye of Scar happens to be Jeffy, so if he is the one replying or messaging, you know that is actually the guest. So be nice. So let us welcome Jeffy into the stream.
Hello.
Welcome, Jeffy.
Hi, guys.
So, Jeffy, how about some background for people? Because you're not that easily found on the internet. I realized, so the background information was not that easy to track down. So, how about some introduction for the people to know a little bit about you and your journey so far?
All right. I've been in like game dev for the past close to like 10, 11 years or so. I've been like involved in almost all aspects of it. I come from an indie background. I started off with doing technical art and game design, and slowly moved into like level design, level art. And one day, uh, I just thought of like, there's like this level that I built up, right? And it was like blank and empty. So I thought, I'll just try lighting this thing up. It turned out actually good. I was like quite surprised. Wow, okay, maybe this is my new direction. uh, and it kind of like went on from there. Started doing a lot of like static scenes, then slowly moved on to like doing dynamic scenes with dynamic camera motion, um, and gradually, started working out on um lighting if there was a character, learning about shots, shot composition, and slowly moving into cinematography from there. So that's like a compressed brief of uh, my 10-year journey so far.
That's very interesting. So, as we talk, you will notice me kind of interrupting ourselves just to acknowledge people. So, I just want to obviously acknowledge your friend Nikhil, Hartak, yourself being on the chat. That's not very often our guests are in the chat themselves. Nacha, or is it Nacha? No, Nochwa. That's an interesting name. Shagaban, and as well as Kiran is also watching today. Um, so, before we continue, it's a good idea. We have quite a few viewers, so let's just jump over to your short movie, and let's hopefully it has the sound on everything for the people to watch, and they get to know a little bit about our main topic, which is the experience you have with Wake, and because a lot of people want to do these things as well, and they might not know how to approach it, right? So
Right.
let's have a watch and enjoy the short movie before we continue. All right. That was an nice introduction to the conversation. So, for anyone who's tried doing this, they are quite aware of that it is quite daunting tasks to pull this together, regardless of if it's a minute or 2 minutes or even 30 seconds. It's quite a lot of work, quite a lot of work to get the cinematography right, get the color part right, get the cameras right, get the timing and animation and setting all up. So let's start from the beginning. What was the process of this? Like what happened, and how did you approach this with the rest of the team members? Obviously, that's why I let the credit go a little bit, because we obviously want to acknowledge everyone else who contributed as well. So if someone were to do something like this, what are the first steps that you would recommend from a cinematography and directing point of view?
Well, the first thing what you want to have is like preparation. You need to lay out an idea of what you want to do. Uh, you need to figure out what your story is and how you're going to convey a story um, in shots, right? So that is like the first thing you got to nail down. Uh, so over here, my idea was like I sort of had this like kind of like a rough idea where there are like kind of these mechanical beings and they're being visited by like some sort of something something where they're like drawn to like moths to a fire kind of like thing. So that was like the basic premise of the idea that I had, and I try to like create something metaphorical around it, and to keep it like as abstract as I can. So anyway, the idea was there, and then. Mm, uh, and then what I try to like figure out was okay, how to like do this, how to like picturize this. So that is where we figured out, doing keyframes and some storyboards and things like that could help.
Okay.
So yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about the beginning of the process. So you had an idea, you had a vision. So what's the process? Do you gather references? Does someone else gather references? Is there a mood board? And how long do you spend creating those in the beginning, or was it more? I have an idea. Let's just go with the flow.
Oh yeah. For this, I just had an idea. I just went with the flow. I didn't pick up any reference, so to speak. There wasn't any mood boards because I sort of like tried, you know, looking for some references online, but nothing sort of like stuck to what I had in mind. And mm,
So, what knowledge do you need then to be able to skip the referencing and mood board part? Like, how do you manage the team? Like, how are you communicating your ideas then if you don't have a mood board or a reference board ahead of time?
well, you work with a keyframe artist or a concept artist and try to get what you want on paper, right? Or what you can do is like what I did over here was I try to like kind of like mock up um, the shots that I need with the colors that I need in Unreal itself. So I created like a live storyboard sort of within Unreal. Uh, I think my camera's I think my camera has locked up. I'll just
You can go in and out if you want to quickly
yeah, I'll just
while I analyze your video alone. Absolutely. Isolation. All alone. I mean, he has nice colors, his traditional colors, right? Um,
sorry
admire
about
your
that.
video.
I,
Yeah,
th-
I
I
was.
think I think today's a day of like technical difficulties all around.
It's all right. Nothing to worry about. Uh, so the color palette. It has traditional color palette as well. Is that a conscious choice? Is that a safe choice? Is there a reason for it?
No, there's no specific reason for it. I just went with what would look natural to me. Like you have a yellow ball of light, fire, gas, whatever. So that would be yellow orangish in hue, right? Uh, the robot was red from right from the start, so I just went with that. But what I actually did was like for certain shots or like to get the cinematography right, I like try to play around with the values a bit in terms of like getting the contrast right. The red would be on the robot would be something of like a darker hue value than compared to uh, the light that is like hitting in the back, hitting him in the front or at the back. So there will be a contrast value there that will, you know, that will sort of like shape the picture. If you like go rewind back a bit, rewind back, you'll see it clearly over here. This shot over here, right? So, for this specific shot, the texture on the robot is like a little bit what do you say darkened on during color grade so that it would stick out with the light hue that is like seeping into the room from behind him. So that sort of like creates a very interesting frame, in terms of like composition. Yeah, if you like uh, change this picture into like black and white uh, to understand the values that is like happening in the shot, you'll be able to see it. I can like share that with you guys like when I'm like sharing the screen later on.
Cool. So, how would you recommend someone to approach a project like this? What would be if someone were like, "Oh, I want to do something similar, but I have no idea what to do." What's your advice on getting started? Because this is actually 2 minutes and almost 30 seconds long. That's quite a big time, even you know, just for most standards to do this kind of stuff. And the team wasn't exactly very big either, who were helping you out either. So. Did you do the lighting as well? Because I don't say this. It doesn't say a lighting artist. Were you the one responsible for the lighting too?
Yeah, I was responsible for the background lighting and the shot lighting. Yes.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about first the cinematography and the direction part. Like, how do someone get started if they were being a bit ambitious and they wanted to do that with two, three other people? What's the steps?
I won't say like there are like any clear steps per se. Just go and do it. Like you have an arsenal of tools in your hands these days. There's like nothing that cannot be done. Like, and most of the things are like free for you to like try out, right? Like Unreal Engine is free, Blender is free, uh, the Quixel tools are free. So ideally, like mm, like when we all started out, like a decade ago or something, you know, it was just UDK, the DCC apps. Yeah, Blender was there, it wasn't there to the level that it is there right now. Many use like Maya, Max, and things like those. And training resources were pretty scarce. But these days you have hundreds of videos on YouTube if you want to just um get started into it. There's like nothing stopping you. But then coming back to my point earlier, if you really want to get something done, you have to know what you want to do first. So it's key that you have a vision in your mind, right? So usually what I do is like if I have a vision in my mind, I like keep playing it in my mind a couple of times, until I get the picture until I get the picture the way I want it. So I like keep imagining, I keep like dreaming so to say. Like when I go to sleep, okay, so this is how it's gonna look. That will be cool. Okay, fine. So that is gonna look something like this. That will be cool. Maybe we'll have a motion like that. That will be cool. So you just keep dreaming. I know that's not like the ideal thing that anyone would want to hear, but if you're like a creative artist, you
So
should
would you
know.
say you are a bit free forming as a director cinematographer, that you are don't depend so much on the planning and the groundwork, and you're more of hands on, let's try this color, let's try this camera? Is that one of the reason you maybe work as a CG cinematographer? Is it's more on the spot, on the go kind of creativity, or how would you you know or label yourself?
No, it's not like that. Like what I've been talking about was like trying to get the vision right in your mind, right? So once you have the vision right in your mind, then you go about planning how to get the vision done, right? So yeah, so that's how basically it goes. Once I know what I want, I lay it down on like paper. So these are the kind of things that I'm like looking to get done. You know, uh, and for this shot in particular, I kind of like made a mock storyboard using Unreal itself. So I tried out the cine cameras in Unreal. I figured out what kind of lens, where the camera should be positioned to get what kind of like shot I had in mind. I kind of like mocked it up, sort of.
So how did you pick the lenses? Is that a background knowledge you have a lot from real life, or is that something you learned, or is it more of a this looks kind of bright?
I don't have much of a background with real life lenses, so I kind of like tested out some lenses a bit while doing the mock-up storyboarding, and those once I thought, okay, this picture looks right, I just went with that during the production of the shoot.
Okay. And how do you get control over your color palette? So I see you have God rays coming on from right, that's warm, and then you have the cold, blue greenish one on the left side. What's the process you use there to manage this so fluently?
Those are like color graded in Resolve. Uh, so the hero of the you know color grading process here is Resolve. The original the raw lighting looks way more saturated. The colors are a bit more glowy uh, in the original scene. So uh, these were all fixed up in Resolve after it was recorded in Unreal.
So would you say that the whole short movie, the whole 2 minutes and 20 seconds, is heavily color graded afterwards to achieve the mood and the color correction?
Yeah, it is heavily color graded afterwards. It is also like how I do my process if it's in like if it's doing static lighting in for a scene or whatever. Once I try to get my the overall visual ambience like close to where I want to get it, I color grade my scene either in Photoshop or in Resolve, and I try to make lookup tables for that and bring it back into Unreal. Because so far as I'm concerned, Unreal doesn't have like the best tools if you wanna grade your shots on a hue to hue basis. It's not there yet. So yeah, I use help of third party solutions for that, be it Resolve or Photoshop or whatever.
Okay. And what are you paying most attention to when you're color grading a short movie or even an image for that matter?
So there are like a couple of things that I like keep in mind. One is it there there is no specific rule per se to begin with, But I like have sort of like developed this kind of like a style where I push in the blacks for contrast, uh, and kind of like desaturate the primary light a bit, and like and like kind of like darken uh, darken certain hues that are that belongs to the primary character or whatever, you know. So
And
these
these
are
are like shot by shot decisions, or is it like overall you correct afterwards? I asked that
so these
because
are
I'm wondering, is there a reason you wouldn't do it Unreal if it's on the character itself?
oh, just hold on a minute, man.
Don't worry, he isn't rage quitting. He just have a very poor camera technical connection these days. Hey Neil, and hey Vivek. Thanks for watching. Hey Karan, and we have Jeffy back.
Yeah, so yeah, you guys will have to like live with that for the stream.
Yeah, no, I was asking. So you depend a lot of color grading in DaVinci Resolve, such as correcting the material or desaturating the material of the character itself. Is it specifically shot based, or is there a reason you didn't do it in Unreal? Is it because it's too technical, too time consuming, or is it just you're just much better in doing this stuff in DaVinci Resolve?
No, the reason why I do it in Resolve is that because Resolve gives me a lot more control over what I need to get done. Like say, okay, like say you're trying to blow out highlights inside Unreal Engine, right? So usually in a image editing app or a video editing app or whatever, a highlight would refer to like the widest point in the frame. But in Unreal, that's not how Unreal kind of like sees it. It kind of Unreal sort of sees a highlight as like a specular reflection or something like that, right? So say if you have like a white box that is emissive, Unreal wouldn't technically read that as a highlight. So certain things like that kind of like rub me the wrong way. So so I go to like the other apps like Resolve, for example, and Resolve has a lot of options if you want to like control your colors on a hue to hue basis. Like say I just want to like uh, work on this hue here that is at this pixel range, and you can select that hue and it will only affect that. you know it won't affect anything else that is around it. So it gives you that much of control, and I like working with applications that sort of like give me that control, or give me options for controlling whatever I want.
Hmm. And how long have you been using DaVinci Resolve? Like, where do you learn it, and where's those skills coming from?
I just opened it one day and just went to town.
It just went to town and went on to
Yeah,
learn it.
I sort of have like a semi experience with Photoshop doing LUTs and stuff for static scenes. So I just open Resolve and try to replicate what I know from Photoshop. Like, okay, I know I'm going to pitch up the brightness and punch in the contrast a bit. Where are the tools for that? Next would be okay. I want to like punch in some green into the midtones and some yellow into the highlights. Where do I do that? I go block by block like that, and that's how I got along with Resolve.
So let's also briefly just confirm and mention a little bit about the environment, the character. So what's custom made or what's free, or what's edited and it was originally free?
Oh, there isn't anything that is free in this.
So everything was custom made by the team.
Yeah.
And how long does it take to put all of this together? What was the production time and development time of all of this?
Um, we took around 7 to 8 weeks.
To 3D model, texture, animate, do the directing, the and finish
Co-
this.
Color grading and final render. Yeah. and that is like that is 7 to 8 weeks of crunch. Because when we were doing this, we were actually trying to like
That's why I should ask about hours, not weeks. That's like how many exact hours did you spend doing
uh,
this
how much ever 7 to 8 weeks is that many hours.
full time?
So yeah, I mean it's more than full time. We were like trying to promote. Uh, like when I was working with Tilt Lab, so we were like trying to promote real time animation for movies and things like that. So this was kind of so this was sort of our like proof of concept, so to speak. You know,
Okay,
so we came up with the idea, and we were like, it was like in January 2020 or something. We came up with this idea. We'll do something like that, and we'll like showcase it at GDC. So I think GDC was at March 15th, 2020, or something like that. So by late January, we sort of began, and we were like sort of trying to like um rush it so that we make it by March 15th. So how many other days there's in between that?
right.
uh,
What
all
would you
those
say are the challenges that you experience in this project? I mean, there must have been some challenges in the learning curve that was like unexpected. Or was
Oh
this a
yeah.
definition of perfection?
No, one thing I've learned over the course of my career is that if you try chasing perfection, you won't reach anywhere. So I like gave up on perfection long time back. I used to I used to try and get my scenes perfect. Oh, I want that shadow like fall like this, and it should be this dark, and the character should like feel like this, and like sort of things like that. And in the end, when I like sort of reached that point, I sort of felt, no, no, it's not there yet. I want to go again. And that cycle just never ended. So so then I figured out, like, screw this thing. Just, are you happy with this work? If you are, move on. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to stop, I suppose. Before I forget, did you want to share your screen and show something and kind of explain some stuff, or no?
Yeah, yeah, I can do that. I'm just worried if my camera will freeze out if I do that.
Well, that's fine. I mean, as long as we share something on the screen, it's okay. Hello, Vasudvan. Vasudvan. High five, Vasudvan. High five. High five.
It's actually pronounced Vasudevan. So
Vasudevan. High five.
high
See,
five.
I can pronounce it. Technically, I'm Indian. It's just I don't know how to read normal letters.
Okay.
But when you write Indian with just normal English letters, I don't know how to read that. Like it's like I don't know because it doesn't make sense how you pronounce the stuff when you write just, for example, Hindi, for example, or different Pakistani even, and when you write with Greek letters or Latin letters, I get confused. I don't know how to read that. But if you write it normal, a bit like proper letter, I can read that. So I get confused. Um, so do you want to share the screen?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll share my screen. One sec. Um,
And people, you guys can obviously also ask questions. This is for you guys, not necessarily for me. So if you have a curiosity and want to understand and learn something, this is a good opportunity. Hey, Jason. He says, "Hey, Jeffy, bro."
oh my god. uh, that's my personal trainer. What's he
Hey,
doing here?
he's making sure you're looking good. I have a personal trainer too, actually.
Does he know where you are?
No, he does not.
Okay. Okay. Are you guys able to see my screen? Oh yeah, there my
Yeah,
screen.
yeah, we
That's
can see it.
wonderful. Okay, so this is like a sort of the location where the short film takes place. So this is like a scene where I wanted to like try my hands in like modeling and all those new things. Uh,
You have
and
another
I was
comment. Let's go, Tamil gang. People are distracting you here all the time with comments.
oh shit. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so there's like a funny thing about the scene. I'm just gonna talk about a little bit into like scene lighting here for a moment. Okay, so basically, when you have like interior scenes that needs to be lit up with natural light, with natural light and stuff like that, you rely very much on like baked GI, right? So otherwise, if you're like using Unreal 5, you have Lumen now, but usually you will like rely on baked GI. Uh, okay, just a sec. I'm gonna like step out and step in for very soon.
Yeah, no problem. I'll hang out with the Tamil gang and, we'll just make new friends while I wait for you. How are you guys doing? You guys enjoying the conversation? I would love some questions for you guys as well. Don't be shy. He has to share the screen again because he just decided to abandon me all alone in this dark country.
Nah, man, I won't abandon you.
Uh,
Don't do that. Okay. Anyway, um, when I started doing lighting, right? So I used to ask people for feedbacks and stuff like that. So one of my friends, he's right now a senior level designer at Epic. He told to me like think about lighting as painting with lights, right? So for a while, I never really understood what that meant until I sort of like try to do this scene. So if you're like a lighting artist, right, and you're looking at this scene over here, right, how would you like how would you like think the scene was lit up?
I mean, as a lighting artist, you listen to your director and art director normally.
No, no, no. I'm like asking you the question, and that
I
sort
mean,
of like a
from
technical question. Yeah.
from a realistic point of view, it's too dark. If I were to like think
No,
from
no,
a,
no. That's
if I was to
that.
think from just like a realistic point of view, but from artistic point of view, it has a nice contrast. But I would probably color correct it a little bit. I would probably do whatever you do on DaVinci. Probably. I mean,
Yeah,
I never depend on what I see on Real. It never looks the way you want it to look. To be honest.
yeah. That is awesome. But that wasn't my question. Like, my question was, how do you think the scene was lit? Like technically.
Like what lights you used?
Yeah, sort of.
Probably pretty sure you faked it all the way.
Yeah.
A lot of post processing.
Actually, no. The post processing is only for the LUT. So basically, I tried.
Look at
Um,
that, all that fakery.
I,
Proper lighting art is faking all of it.
so I tried baking it. It took like 2 hours to bake, and this was the result I got. So I
Oh
was
really?
like, yeah, I mean, like, it was just a test, right, to see how much base GI I would get. So this was like kind of the sort of test. And more
Interesting.
importantly, I wanted to see how long it would take, to bake the scene, because my CPU, it's like a 4-core CPU. Yeah, it won't bake pretty fast. So like 1 hour 45 minutes, and I look at this and I'm like, I'm tired. I'm just gonna like fake this thing all by myself.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I think that's okay, to be honest. It depends on your technical understanding as well, how to get
yeah,
the bounce lights. But to be fair, the method you use is obviously old school. That's what we used to do in the beginning too. You had to learn to see, you had to learn to paint with your eyes, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as it's kind of looks the way you want. But I do know a lot of people are very picky that you need to be able to do it with one light, and you have to understand how to use the engine properly, and it doesn't really matter to me personally what method someone uses. But you obviously faked a lot, and this is what I used to do as well. When I was doing lighting in the beginning, I would place all the lights where I wanted, adding the fill light, and the rim light, and those kind of stuff. But I think it's interesting that it was pitch black though. Even though you had the directional light, it seems like. Um, I'll ask him the question when he comes back. Just remember with LUTs, Kushik, the thing with LUTs, they don't necessarily transfer over to HDR TV. So if you use LUT and someone watches on an HDR TV, it's not going to look as intended. That's why I don't use LUTs, and a lot of people that have mentored me, we don't use LUTs if we're gonna go on an LUT TV, HDR TV. But Jeffy, you have a question. Can you talk more about LUTs and how you have used them here?
okay. I'm just trying to get my camera's gone again. I don't know. Wait,
That's
just
fine. We'll just do this. No one needs to look at us. Just look at the screen.
oh yeah, okay. Okay, so where are my LUTs? Where's where? Oh, yeah. So this is how the raw lighting would look. You know, if you want to like tone up the exposure, like
Yeah, you see, this is where people are different, and I think for some people are maybe too strict here. Like a lot of lighting artists, they would control the minimum and max brightness, changes to EV basically. They would
mhm.
make it, they would measure the sky, they would measure the light using a light meter, they would add in the right colors, and then they would do the tweaks afterwards.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't do that. I just go with like,
what looks good,
whatever. Yeah, whatever feels right to me. Huh? Like, uh,
and it works. I mean, the short movie is great. It looks great.
yeah. So one thing I wanted to like mention about LUTs is like, usually like even Epic has mentioned this to use their own color grading suite, which are like over here, you know, and these kind of things. Um, because their default LUT is like it's SDR. They don't have like a HDR LUT input yet. I mean, they still don't have. While we were like working at Ubisoft for a while, we sort of like we went close to like developing an HDR LUT input, so that we could rely most of our grading outside than inside the engine. So um,
Let's
I'm just reading at the comments over here. We use them here. Yeah, man. So basically, the LUT just pops up a certain colors in terms of like contrast values, and I like try to like saturate, desaturate colors on a hue level a bit. These are all graded in Photoshop, and the lookup table is brought into Unreal uh, and thrown into the scene.
So let's have some fun. Let's show a bit more detail on every light you have, step by step, so people can understand. Because a lot of people, as I said, there's many ways of doing lighting. I don't really believe there's
Yeah,
any
there are
right
there
and
are
wrong way.
there are there are many ways of doing it. In the end, if it works and if it doesn't crash a PC, you're good, right?
Let's also explain layers, because it's not often I see someone actually use layers. So in case people don't know what layers are and what's going on, because they can't obviously see what that is.
Okay, so basically, layers. If you've used like things like Photoshop and stuff like that, you'll clearly know what layers are. It's just some information just stacked up on top of each other. That's pretty much it. So over here, these are pretty much my lighting layers. So these are completely fill lights, fill lights or fake GI, as some people would call. So these are some for the pillars on the right over here. You know, these are for the ceiling a bit over here. Uh, oh wait, what's that? These are for the right bookshelves. You know, pillars on the left, the ceiling on the left, the bookshelves on the left. Go into fog sheets later. Ceiling a bit. Also, these are basically physical lights. This is what the physical lights do in the scene. But as I
And
would like to,
did you bake them, or was they real time, or was it stationary?
no, these are all in real time.
Right. So you didn't bake them afterwards just because you were adding more lights. You kept it real time. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to bake these things. These are lights with indirect intensity set to zero and casting shadow set to zero. So they usually don't have much of an effect on the scene, uh, as they are not so expensive.
Did you have to pay attention to like optimization when you do short movies, when you do for the rendering, or it doesn't really matter?
For rendering, not much of optimizations required. I can open up the map and show you that in a while. So yeah, so this is basically what the physical light does. But lighting usually is not about what a physical light does to the scene. It is more about like atmosphere and things like that. So you'll need like stuff like fog, volumetric fog,
Yeah,
fog
cinematographers that
base.
really like their fog, don't they?
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
in
only
really
only
movies.
only then the aspect of lighting can be like called completed. Like how I see it is like lighting is not just one thing. Lighting is like a mixture of a couple of things, uh, and like so far I would say like it is more like 30% of physical lights, 30% of like your actual shaders that react to the light. Lighting of the scene is only good as long as the materials that reflect the light does it well. So then the other 30% is atmospherics like fog and whatnot, and then the last 10% you can say like other post process effects like grading and stuff like that. Maybe I'll have to give a little more a little more points to grading, but I'll just leave it over there for right now.
Right. Kushik wants to see the sequencer if you have it up in this particular version of your project.
Yeah, I have. Usually, what I do is I throw in a lot of junk into my projects, like for assets and things like that, and end up not using it. So I'm like trying to figure out
But
where.
I
I,
assume so much because your name of the project on top right is archive of everything.
oh, that's actually the name of the actual piece. So a friend of mine, Yuya Takeda, he's a good concept artist of sort. So he was doing this. Oh, yeah, okay. So he was doing this series called Sky. Series in which he sort of painted a library like this, but that was more of a like destroyed library.
Hmm.
Uh, so while I was trying to model this, I couldn't figure out how to do the destruction part. I realized I had to like go into ZBrush, do a lot of like sculpting, baking that stuff, and it like kind of bored me out. Uh, and I figured out, okay, fine, I'm like kind of do a version of this scene where it would be as if it wasn't destroyed. Uh, so this is like the concept art that the scene is like based on.
Okay.
Yeah. So this stuff over here. So you can see like it's got a lot of like foliage and all this kind of stuff. And foliage is something that I don't want to do. I don't enjoy doing it. So,
Makes sense.
so my idea was, okay, rewind time. Where what would this look like if it was, sort of 20 years prior to whatever happened, or stuff like that.
So these shots, I see you have like shot one shots. Is that how you structured these shots in a different map, or how does this work?
Okay, so basically, what this is every shot that I have for the movie is saved as a different map file.
You have to repeat yourself because
So there are a couple of reasons to do that.
your mic cut off. Could you repeat yourself, please? Uh,
Yeah, so you're able to hear me now, right?
yeah, let me just remove your camera and then put it back in like this, and then do this. Okay, think your camera is fine and your streaming is okay. All right, you were saying?
Yeah, so I think it is because the shot is quite on the heavy side, so it could be my PC lagging, uh, because of which maybe my voice also seems to lag. I guess so. So anyway, don't say. Okay, so anyway, um, I forgot what we were talking about. Actually, what we were talking about.
So we're doing multiple things. You are showing the sequencer. You're
Oh
showing
yeah,
how you
right.
structure the shots because you have to happen to have different areas for each shot. It seems like.
Oh yeah. So basically, okay. So this shot is. Let me take my cinema sequence here. Mm, yeah. So basically, what I did over here was every shot that I have in the movie is saved as a different map file.
And what's the reason for that? Why is
Uh,
that something you chose to do?
so there are like a couple of reasons. One is like for certain shots there are like a certain exterior environment that I kind of use, like for the shot over here. Uh, my Unreal has lagged a bit.
Well,
Okay,
it has been
that doesn't
working
look
very
good.
hard, hasn't it? It's a bit tired.
Yeah,
So
my
while
PC is lagging now. I don't know what's happening. Okay,
it's all right.
so shot. Um, so you know
So this
um,
shot,
the performance. Yeah, I'm just going there. Wow, compelling shaders again. Shit, damn.
2,496 shaders to go. Let's dance.
Oh, that's it. It's pretty on the low side today.
It's been a while since we
Okay,
opened it.
so
That's fine.
okay, so this is this shot over here. So we are taking a look at the first shot, right? Hmm?
Yep.
So we have this robot looking out into what sort of looks like a city on the outside and things like that, right? So if I take my sequencer, like put it somewhere over here, damn, okay, like that. Okay, so you can see this. Eventually, what's happening is
It's nice timing that you're on the stream actually, because I have a freelancing gig that requires me to do a lot of this stuff.
So basically, I've cut down my scene uh, in half. Okay, to accommodate all these extra things at the back that sort of resembles a city backscape. You know, so. Uh, these were like, for certain shots I needed that, for certain shots I didn't need it. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll do that. I'll just break down these shots into like their own separate maps and whatever, do it that way. Um, and moreover, I knew that the final post processing would be done in DaVinci Resolve, so I would be just basically rendering these level sequences. I won't be putting them up together as a master sequence, right? uh, and taking them into Resolve, uh, sh- cutting the video again into different shots and then grading all those different shots. No, I'm not going to be doing that. So I'll be just recording each level sequences as they are and bringing it into Resolve. And the third thing is, when I have these things saved as their own shot maps or things like that, it sort of like made me kind of like uh, work on whatever I needed whenever I needed. Like, say today, sort of felt like working on the second shot. After a while, I feel like, okay, I'm sort of like getting burnt with the scene. I'll like transfer my attention to something else, um, and then I could just open up. Like I'll just close this. Open up. Let's say. Oh shit. Okay. Open up. Let's say like. The last shot, right? I'll just open that up and just work on that. Um, and it was just basically me doing all these things by myself. Working on the shots and the lighting and syncing up the animation and things like that. There wasn't like anyone else involved in that process. So this kind of like gave me the freedom to do whatever I wanted to work on whenever I wanted to. So yeah, that's like those are like kind of like the reasons why I chose to go this way.
And we can see the saturation difference that you mentioned as well. There's a difference.
Yeah, so instead of like trying to get everything right in Unreal itself, I mean, you can get close to what you want, right? You can get close to what you want, but there needs to be that final layer of like touch ups, like this is where it should be, and
Yeah, I mean, you have the liberty
things
when
like
you're
that.
doing still image or you're doing a short movie. You don't obviously have the same liberty if you're doing an actual game. And holy shit, that's a lot of creative lighting going on. Damn.
Oh yeah, right. I didn't actually show you the entire stuff, right? So the entire stuff would look something like this.
Damn. That must have taken some time to be very particular in every area.
No, it was actually faster than I thought.
Interesting.
Surprisingly faster than faster than what I thought. So shot 19. So we're shot 19.
So is that like the as is that the environment to make it look like the way it is, or is that specifically for this shot?
Oh, this is specifically for this shot. So let me just open up shot 19.
You really took it seriously when you're painting with light, huh?
Yeah, I really went to downtown on that.
There's like a brushstroke for every area with using the light.
Okay, so shot 19, basically the shot goes something like this, right? He's walking and there's like this blue ray of light, uh, stuff. So what actually happens is he's walking into some light beams that I've like placed over here, and that's pretty much it.
Cool. You have a question. Is the question is how do you usually render it out? EXR or PNG? EXR have raw lighting data, but will need a lot of post processing, color grading, right? Do you understand the question?
Yeah, I do. Uh, the straight up answer is I don't do either. I just take it up from the sequence render, where you can render out as an AVI, and that's like the fastest thing to do. Because the thing is, you take it up as an EXR or a PNG, you'll have to like make it into a video again, right? So I'm just skipping that stuff. I'm like ultra lazy, so I try to like kind of uh, look to find the shortest route to get the things done.
Cool. Obviously, your approach is very creative in the sense that you are like doing it in a very feeling kind of way. You know, you're looking at it, you're going, and also I think the difference is you have the mindset ahead of time that you know you're gonna color grade it, so you also know your way around color grading, so you kind of know what you don't have to do in Unreal and what you can do in DaVinci Resolve for your short movie at least. I also think it's
Yeah.
very interesting to see how many lights you used and your approach to things and how you problem solved. Obviously, your challenges and also some of your limitations that you worked around it and found another way of doing things. I think that's also quite interesting. Um, let's see.
uh,
Is there
what I
any
would like
final questions people want to ask, or do you want to add something yourself, Jeffy, for the last few minutes we have left?
I'm just trying to see where I've like saved my files for this specific work. Okay, so I've actually done a write up on this on 80 levels, where I've like kind of like submitted my rough storyboard as well that I created in Unreal. Uh, so basically, what everyone wants to keep in mind is like whatever they want to do, um, it's always better to have that vision sorted out right away in the beginning, and do some mock-ups on the vision. Like storyboarding or keyframes, or like you have Unreal now, just make a quick block out of the scene and throw in a camera in there, um, and see how your shots are going to look. This is what majority of film productions do these days, with previs and things like that in Unreal. So, and that's becoming a thing too, where like once upon a time people just relied heavily on storyboards, and right now even the big budget productions are using Unreal for previs and things like that. um, even even for like mock cinematography, even like to see, okay, let's throw in a light at this angle and see how that comes out if the camera is here, and things like that. So preparation is key. If you Yeah, if you're not prepared, you'll find yourself like going haywire when you hit when you hit a problem somewhere down the line.
All
uh,
right, that's a good advice. A reminder for everyone watching, you are watching Lighting World. This is a community for anyone does who likes to do look development, lighting. We do portfolio review on our Discord. So that means if you want to, you can stop by the Discord and you can ask for a portfolio review. This is also live streamed. And generally, we have two other lighting artists or relevant people who look at your work to give you critique. Sometimes we promote you. So if you're active and you post a lot, you contribute, we will make sure you get noticed. Occasionally, we do some Unity tutorials. If you want to learn Unity, we do some Unreal tutorials. If you want to learn some Unreal stuff, we do some teaching of fundamentals for lighting for games. We just released a specific lighting tutorial at courses.lightingbot.com. You can learn PBR, which is completely opposite of what Jeffy has been talking about today. This is uses photography, it uses measurement to get this kind of look and flexibility in that area. So it's a completely different approach for anyone who wants to learn that kind of approach. You can also watch more interviews if you're new to the channel, which I know a lot of you are. There are other people, interesting people as well, you can learn from about lighting, about concept, about just a lot of things really. We don't do a lot of short videos anymore because it's very time consuming for me to edit, but we still have some old ones you can look at. There might be a lighting challenge in future. We did have one a month ago. We're still trying to finish some of the special awards for that. And remember, we do lighting mentorship as well. So we're going to take the last question from Kushik before we start fading out. And the question is, any tips to improve your workflow with your team members?
Oh man, that's like what did I say about that? Okay, so
Just say it's impossible.
well, when you're working with team members, I find the main thing you gotta have is like trust. You have to like trust that your team member will be up to the task, and and go with it, I guess. Um, Usually, in my case or in my specific case, I've been like really fortunate to work with highly professional people, um, who sort of like understand where I come from, who are like ready to like pitch in if I kind of like go out of the line, things like that. So um, my if I were to like um, work with someone who doesn't get what I'm like trying to say, for example, just like trying to like help that guy, keep pushing, be patient, and trust that he'll do his best. You know, um, yeah, I think
Cool.
that's about it.
If you're still watching, please like, subscribe. That's how you can also support Jeffy by making sure his video is the most, watched, viewed, and shared. So that's probably something he would appreciate as well. I see you want to show something at the end here, Jeffy. Do you want to show the values or something?
Oh yeah, like I spoke about contrast values um, in the beginning of this talk, right? So this is basically what I was like talking about. You take a shot. Say that you have a shot over here, right? So um, you like take a frame, put it into Photoshop, throw a black and white filter on it, and see how it stands out as a picture, right? So uh, does it feel like the thing is right there or not? Uh, does the contrast actually provide you an interesting frame? You know, uh, Taking this like into other works that I've done, like this is one of my folio works. So over here, if you like do that exact same process, you can like actually see the contrast. Uh, you know, Trying to tell you a picture, you have like a big point of focus in the center of the frame that is lit white, right? And you have a smaller object in the very same frame that is dark. So white, big, small, that itself is a shape contrast, and white, black, that is value contrast. So your eyes are like automatically going towards, uh, you know, um, that point of focus there. Um, this is like, yeah, that's so basic. That's what I basically do with all my shots, like kind of like these days, like once they're like framed, I like take it into some image software and try to like kind of see, how it uh, works out just on values. Uh, because like to me, I find like uh, contrast is something uh, that I kind of like use very frequently in my cinematography, trying to when I like frame my shots or color my shots or whatever. So I work with these contrast values quite a bit to see actually if they're like making sense to me, and then move on from there.
Cool. It's very useful for people to know, I think, to get an idea. It's also very good to iterate it whenever possible in every video we do to make sure people remember this. So we'll come to the end, but a quick reminder as well before I talk to Jeffy a bit more in private, and also before my battery of my headset dies. We do have an online meetup at 2:30 today, UK time on the Discord. So feel free to join. I don't know if Jeff is joining, but he's also welcome to join. We can just hang out. We talk about whatever we want to talk about. Keep the community alive, and yeah. So feel free to join that as well. Um, that's a bit about it today. I think Jeffy has been kind enough to lend his time, more than an hour already. So I appreciate that a lot, and hopefully we can have him back in the future. But for that, you need to subscribe, and share the videos around the internet. Yeah. Any last word, Jeffy? Before well, I will wave goodbye at least. You can pretend to be waving goodbye while I click and broadcast, and yeah, we can talk a little bit in private afterwards.
Yeah,
So
I think
everyone,
I should be like trying to get a better camera next time.
I think it's because you're using the DSL camera. It's having trouble recognizing DSL camera rather than regular cameras. That's probably why, maybe.
Yeah, but I
Uh,
did like a heavy test like yesterday, so there wasn't like any problem.
it gives the webcam utility problem. So obviously, that's why it's had the hardware problem in the test we did earlier. So, but I'm sure you can figure it out. We'll do a couple of tests
Yeah,
together.
we'll like try it. So yeah, thanks for having me on this podcast. I mean, it was like really cool to like share knowledge with people who are like watching this. I've always like kind of like enjoyed sharing whatever I learned throughout the years in my life. Uh, if because I know what I know today only because other professionals were like willing to share their info, what they learned, right? Uh, when we started out, um, as I mentioned before, there weren't like many resources
That's true.
to like learn things from. There were like a bunch of websites giving out premium content, premium training content, and things like that. But everything was like on a surface level to be like uh, to say, and most of it were on game modeling, high poly, low poly, workflow, things like that. We didn't. There actually isn't anything on, lighting up a scene or anything like that. If you like take digital tutors hmm, or what was that? 3D Motive or E3D or any such sites back in the day. There's hardly anything you can find on like, yeah, how does this physical light in a real-time engine work, right? There's absolutely nothing about that. So we were like trying to like figure it out while doing stuff, uh, while doing things. So that is like totally not the case right now. There are like uh, more accessible information on the net. But anyway, the point is like, if it weren't for like some of my industry professional friends, some that I see as mentors right now, if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have learned whatever I know today. So, uh, as a way of like thanking them, I'm like, um, I like try and share my knowledge, whatever I know, with other people trying to like get into the industry and such. So yeah, so there's that.
That's cool. It's true. For the record, technically I've known Jeffy for a while. That's why he keeps saying back in time. It's just we haven't caught up until now. That's we've been following each other for a while and also engaging in the past. Um, so yeah, thank you so much for your time, and don't leave. We'll talk in private after click end podcast. And yeah, everyone, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and hopefully I see some of you on the online meetup in about, I don't know, 3 hours something. And yeah, thank you so much. Have a nice day, and see you again probably next week with something new. So stick around.